Hello everyone and welcome to WelcomeTech channel. My name is Elizaveta and on this channel we are sharing with you all the important information, all the vital information on applying for the Global Talent Visa yourself. And today we will be talking about top 5 the most common mistakes that I see in every application that people make themselves. And I think it's quite interesting, so stay with us and I will be talking about that today. First, something that I want to mention is that almost every application that I've seen, people apply themselves, they will be like, oh my god, I did something wrong, I understood it just when I applied. It's okay, some mistakes will be made. It's the important thing is to not let them be crucial to your application. Some mistakes will be made because it's very complex. There are a lot of documentation, and honestly, you do not need to be panicking all the time about that if you made a mistake, but there are some things that you will need to understand and to take to your consideration when you're applying for the Global Talent Visa yourself. The first thing is the type of the visa you're applying for. Either it's exceptional talent or exceptional promise. And it sounds really easy, what type of visa should you choose to apply, but sometimes people really mistake that. And sometimes when people have not like about 6-7 years of experience and they're not strong enough to be exceptional talent, and they're already out of their 5 years to be promised. This is a very interesting moment and you will need to consider it really thoroughly, because the being in early stage of your career, so being 5 or less years in your career, is very important. You do not judge on the level of your achievement, whether you're promise or talent. You need to judge only on the amount of years in IT field. But sometimes, and once it happened to us too, so there was a person who had about 10 years of experience in IT, but they were still given a promise because they were working in some kind of an IT-related consultancy agency for 5 years. And after that, they started working in a product-led digital technology company. Judging by the technician guide, it's considered to be a promise because they're in early stage in their IT career. It is interesting because sometimes they would still consider it a talent, but in this case, they considered it a promise and gave our client a promise, though we applied on exceptional talent visa. The client is still happy, but it is something that I wanted to mention. So sometimes it can happen. And sometimes people can apply for promise visa. I've seen these cases and they can be granted a talent visa if they have about 15 years in their career and for some reason they decided to apply on promise. I don't know, but it works like that and you need to think about this many times before applying. The second thing is making your Global Talent Visa case, and honestly there are a lot of mistakes that you can make here, but you need to understand that there are a lot of requirements that technician provides for the documentation. They do not need to be like templated, right? But at the same time, they need to be all the same. I mean, they need to tell about this, and that. And it's very difficult sometimes to make them like artistic, to make them different from each other in a very special case. And it's sometimes hard to make them differ from from another letter in your case, but it is also important so they do not look like letters from some other cases. It is very important too. And we always, when we work, we never template. Our caseworkers, they have 0 templates actually, because it's so important. And technicians in their performance, in the denial letters, they talk about templating sometimes a lot. So this is very important to not template. And there are other important requirements. For example, to letters again, they need to contain the resume of the author, the address, phone number, mail. You don't need to have too many links in your pieces of evidence. There are some things about CV and the personal statement too. There are a lot of things. The third thing that you need to consider when applying for the Global Talent Visa is the lack of media recognition. So even if you do not choose the recognition, like the criteria, optional criteria, sometimes it is still needed. So sometimes it goes for mandatory criteria and they will be Googling your name and seeing absolutely no information about you on the internet is quite strange. So when you're applying for this visa, if you are even not preparing anything regarding recognition criteria, it's still good for you to have at least some publications, like 1, 2, 3, maybe even recent ones. And it's just for them understanding that you're a real person, really. It's very important. And sometimes when the application, when your case is strong on its own, it's okay. They do not really expect to any publications from you, but sometimes they can be demanding it. So it's better to have it than not. The fourth thing is also very important, and it is regarding the recognition too. When you are applying for the Global Talent Visa, right, and you are choosing the recognition criteria, sometimes it's just the easiest criteria to gain out of all, right? And because it's not that easy to gain innovation really fast, right? But recognition is easy. You can publish something on the internet, some articles, maybe interviews with you, videos, and something like recognition can appear. But what you need to understand is, and many people do not understand it, even some consultants who work with the UK visa, they still apply very recent publications. So when you have published something like a week, a month ago, and you are applying that this is a part of your case, this makes your case very weak. So it's important to wait for some time before you apply, or there is a second option. If you're interested, we can discuss it on free consultation. So our contacts are in the description. And the fifth thing that is very important, and this is funny actually, because I've seen enormous amount of cases where people make mistakes in their names, make mistakes in their passport numbers. When you are applying for the Home Office or the Tech Nation, please check 3 times, 4 times before applying, because of course we are all nervous when we are filling out this documentation, and people make mistakes at this point. And also, when you are applying for technician, when you are uploading all your documentation, all your case, pieces, right? You will need, when you're uploading your pieces of evidence, you will need to to filter them. Whether this piece of evidence goes for mandatory criteria, this piece goes for like optional criteria 1, and this piece goes for optional criteria 2, and like that. So you will need to filter them. You will need to put certain pieces that are like for mandatory criteria to the special place, and the others in the special place too. This is very important not to forget about that. We have like this kind of client that have applied for the Global Talent Visa with a different agency, and they have put all the documentation in one place, in mandatory criteria. And they have considered everything as mandatory criteria for some reason. And this is actually something that has led to the refusal. Unfortunately, we have remade the strategy of the case, we have rewritten all the documentation, and we have applied again. And like 2 or 3 days ago, he had his endorsement, and here it is. This is like the endorsement screenshot. We are very happy about that, but this misunderstanding of this like criteria putting, where to put them, has led to to the refusal, and this was a very unfortunate thing. He lost a lot of time. Yeah, so these are the main points on applying for the global talent visa, and the main mistakes that people make. If you are interested in some more information, you can contact us. And if you got your denial, your refusal already, do not be panicking, do not panic, right? Don't be so sad about that. We can fix that, most likely. Maybe you have made these mistakes or made other mistakes. So yeah, you can also contact us for free consultation. We can help you with that. These are free, and we are making a strategy with you, a new strategy of how can you fix your refusal. Yeah, so this is it. Thank you very much for watching, and have a great day. Goodbye.